Good morning and welcome.
That's too high.
Good morning.
Not too low. In the come on.
Good morning.
There we go. That's
welcome to episode 87 with the Reverend Andrew Reid and the Vicar Adam.
I am not the vicar.
We're not doing it all in plain song, are we? Because
No. You're not here. You're not here.
Gargled for that.
You're not here. Go away. We can't see you.
We have a guest. But
No, we don't.
What's with the music, sir?
I just feel so good today.
Do you know what? I saw you this week.
You certainly did at the Darlington Business Club.
I did. I saw you at the Darlington Business Club, and you were presenting, telling everyone not to use password 1.
Damn. And everybody, what was it? Oh, it was you, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. Kay from Darlington.
Yeah.
She went, I'm going home to change all my personal passwords.
Yeah, it's not.
They're so hard to remember. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know.
It was good though.
Yeah,
and
it was
I had
good.
the pleasure of presenting alongside you.
I
which
laughed.
was great. You laughed.
Because your business in a box. What do you do? You've now got your business in a box. What do you now do? Set it on fire.
Yeah.
No, joking.
Put it in the bin.
No, joking.
Yeah. Well, I thought it'd lighten the mood, and it was good. So the business club, I haven't been down for a while.
You haven't. That's because you've been so busy.
I have, and then I had the pleasure of going to Hexham this week, do some photos, and the office is an absolute car crash of a mess because we are secret animation project.
Can't mention
secret. Well, the visuals are more the secret than anything else, but we are just slammed. Alina was editing podcasts the other day. I was presenting the podcast yesterday. I was then editing photos. I've just delivered the photos this morning online, and Adam has been animating the world.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
How's your week been?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I've got a question.
Go on then.
Your presentation to the board.
My presentation. Oh yeah, signed off.
Yes.
Yeah, branding piece we're working on. Got signed off, and it was there and then in the room. In the virtual room.
Oh, well done, my friend.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you tell us anything more? Can you actually tell us?
Yeah, soon enough. But it's more of a visual piece than branding. So I'll have to show you. But yeah, once we get to the point of moving forward and getting there, we'll be able to. What I want to do is case study on the branding and the exercise that we did and the process that we followed, because a lot of people don't realise the process that undergoes branding.
Well, we had that episode, my friend, and I was amazed.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of back and forth and a lot of work and a lot of development. And where we started and where we finished was totally different.
Can I just say congratulations, mate? I know you poured your heart and soul into that. It was a well done project. I was lucky enough to be behind the scenes and seeing in person what you're doing. So well done, my friend. Well done to everybody.
I was extremely nervous.
I'm not surprised.
Big shout out to Liz at Tiger Dove Marketing. And I talked about Liz in my presentation. She was there. Trusted partner.
I've got a secret about that. We're going to get her and you on, and I'm going to question you both.
Sounds good. Marketing Wars. That's what we'll call it.
Marketing Wars. That's exactly, funny enough, that's it. Because I was coming down this morning singing, Love Wars, Marketing Wars.
That's not a song, is it?
Is it? I said we know, no, never mind.
Okay. We've got a guest. So we were at the business club and we
I didn't notice you there.
Our guest. So, what's your name and where do you come from?
My name's Jo Clark. I come from, geographically speaking, West Yorkshire, but I've been around a lot, as they say. And in terms of business, where I come from directly at the moment is VIXI Fitness, the new gym in Business Central.
Member.
You're a member.
Yeah,
is that you declaring you're a member? You do know you have to use the membership.
One of our very first, actually.
One of the very founding members, can we say that?
Number 2, I think you were.
You're number 2.
I was there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Were you?
Yeah.
Hopefully exercising.
I was hopefully exercising. Yep, I was running on the Tuesday, then I was doing some weights on the Wednesday, and then exercising again on the Thursday. Yeah. Although, as I say, I have got a very, very, very bad knee.
Yeah, you were talking about that.
That's really bad. Strangely enough, though, when I sit and do nothing, like as I work away, and then I sort of like stretch it, and it's like, ow, that's incredibly painful. I get up, I make a small movement, it's incredibly painful. Yet running, I went paddle.
You did paddle tennis, didn't you?
I did paddle tennis and that. I can run around. That's absolutely not a problem at all. As soon as I sit and I rest it for 10 or 15 minutes, it seizes up.
The answer is don't sit still.
It's a feature of knees, and it's kind of part of the product cycle, shall we say? The product life cycle.
Well, it's really, really, really hurting, Jo, and I've got a knee brace on at the moment because I am in a lot of pain.
I have a similar issue.
It's just so painful.
So let's get into a couple of
sorry about that.
things. So
thank you, Dr. Jo.
Okay.
The gym is on the ground floor at Business Central here in Darlington. It's just launched. And tell us a bit about the journey you've had getting to this point, and why, I suppose, ultimately?
Why is, I guess, the biggest question, really. And it's quite a simple one. As you will both know, there used to be a gym in the business, and the operators exited in December to, I think, amalgamate all their different services into one location. And my business partner, Victoria, used to work for them. We're going kind of way back, pre-dinosaurs, pre-pandemic, and then left to set up her own, what's it called? Personal fitness business. So she's a personal trainer, and she's done very well with that. But obviously she was still known to the business management, and they approached her in December to say, everyone wants a gym in the building, can you do it? And where I came into that is I'm a personal training client of VIXI. I've worked with her for a couple of years, and she knew that I was giving up my job in December to have more time for myself, do projects that I was to do projects that I was frustrated that I couldn't get to because of my at the time part-time job. I tracked it down to give myself more time, but still didn't have enough. And she approached me and said, do you want to come and do my marketing and the setup and stuff? And I said, well, okay, I'll help you write the business plan. We'll look at it. We'll, cost it out. See if it's viable first.
Yes, of course.
Work out what the structure needs to be, the whole shebang. And we did that, and it was viable, and she needed capital to invest in the equipment. And she couldn't find a loan that was suitable. The rates were just horrific. And I sat back and I kind of thought, well, actually, it's viable. It looks interesting. I'm not doing anything. Carefully forgetting all the stuff that I'd been planning to do. I kind of went, oh, how about if I invest?
Oh, wow.
And
I did not know that. That's really good.
So that's what we did. So it's a partnership. It's a limited company. We set it up in, I think, the 16th of... No, it wasn't the 16th. It was something like the 15th of March we actually incorporated. And, and on the 15th of May, we opened our doors for business. So that's
a fantastic... fantastic.
And at the time, in March, I wasn't even here.
No.
I was in Doha and came back at the beginning of April.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow, what a story that is.
I love that. I love the setup. And I think you're right. It did... There was, when the gym left downstairs, it did leave a hole.
Well, certainly we were
It's a
regulars.
fabulous amenity for the building, for the clients in here. I think, there's such a move towards, in the corporate world, towards kind of supporting well-being for employees. And that's financially much more viable in the larger your corporation is, the more you can find that small fund to kind of fund a bit of wellness for your employees. It's much harder in a small business environment, and that's where something like this comes in. We're a business, we're a tenant in the building, just like yourselves. But our business is focused on ensuring that anyone in here has access to wellbeing facilities, a gym, and at a price that is workable.
It's very reasonable. It is absolutely. Me and Michelle signed it
We are
eventually.
very reasonable.
You
yes.
are exceptionally reasonable. Really, really, really good.
And there was a lot of tweaking in the business plan to kind of make that, to find a price point that didn't feel like we were, just taking the mickey.
No, absolutely, because it's got to have, you're absolutely right, Joe, it's got to be that price point where people go, no, actually, I need to get fit, and actually, it's worthwhile, it's cost justification-wise. If it's £90 or £100 a week, you're like, no, I'm not doing that.
No, and we're very clear, we're not Bannatynes.
No.
We're not, we're not a kind of top-of-the-range gym. We've got very good equipment.
We've invested. It's exceptionally good.
We've invested all our capital, if you like, in equipment. And then we did a bit of a turnaround. We did a bit of 360 and went, actually, we're going to need a desk and a couple of chairs and stuff. The budget, we didn't budget for those.
No.
And I sourced all of our office furniture. So everything that isn't part of the gym, including the shelves.
Yes.
I sourced all of that on Facebook Marketplace for less than £200. Wow.
Oh, really? I was in there because the gym looks fantastic.
It really does.
It looks really impressive. You've really, you can see where the investment's gone.
Yeah.
In terms of, because sometimes people go, I've launched a business, we're investing in a business, we're doing this, we're going to charge a fee, and you walk in and you go, whereas you walk in, you go, wow.
Yeah.
You can't.
How's that wow factor?
Yeah, and we have to have, we had back and forth over some of the cardio equipment, because you can buy cardio equipment that's kind of coded for home use, and you can buy stuff that's coded for commercial use. And there were internal discussions about, well, let's get this when it's this much cheaper, it's half the price. And I was like, no, we have to have stuff that's, that A, the warranty side of it is really important, but B, the liability side. If someone's using a treadmill day in, day out for a year, or we've got, 3 or 4 people using it every day, which is the hope. We hope that, at the moment we've got only a handful of clients and it's not getting lots of heavy use, but the hope is that it will.
Well, absolutely.
And we need it to last. We need it to carry on doing the job for you guys and not be broken down, 3 weeks out of 10.
No, I totally get that. But all of the equipment.
Industrial use is that,
well,
because a lot of home treadmills, they end up with a washing basket full of clothes on it on the way to the laundry half the time. I've seen it.
Yeah, and everyone's exercise bag becomes
a clothes
hod. Absolutely.
I'll hook my towel on there, or I'll hook a jacket on there, or whatever.
The treadmill is industrial. I know, because it can take my weight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. It needs to be robust, Mr.
Robust.
I'm joking.
couldn't possibly comment.
No.
I'll comment.
No, it's
Just
really good.
chirping away on my presentation the other night. But by the way, noted. I referenced Andy in our presentation the other night. So if I'm giving him a hard time, what happened was I said, do you know that social media company that you work with that's really good? And he went, yeah, Adam. And I knew full well you were talking about the other Adam. And I said to my wife last night, I said, me and Andy have done 87 of these now. I know exactly what he's getting at. And I know exactly what he's going to say before he says it. So, So in terms of the startup, obviously, I saw you when you were trying to get all the... Tearing your hair out, trying to get... And that's the reality of business quite often, in terms of trying to get the planets to align and everything to happen.
There are always hurdles and, teething kind of problems, and you just have to take a step back, think outside of your business box and figure out what the right way is.
I like how you link that. That's very good of you.
Very good, isn't it?
So what I'm interested to know is, obviously, did the branding already exist, or have you done that for...
The branding already existed in one form. Victoria's other business is called VIXI Wellbeing.
Yeah.
And we wanted to... She's got a very good following of clients. She's got a presence on social media already. And it made sense to carry that through. There's no formal kind of relationship between the two businesses. Hers remains a freestanding, single person, single trader business. Ours is a limited company. But the aim ultimately is, and at the moment, I was talking to Adam about this the other day, we've got a very, very functional website. It does what it needs to do and no more. But we have a plan to transition that to a much, much nicer website, if you like, much more kind of full service. And the aim is that once we do that, the two businesses will look aligned, visibly, but there won't be any kind of formal or financial relationship between them.
No, exactly. And obviously we knew Vicky from when I interviewed Keith with his Parkinson's, and that's where unfortunately she couldn't make it that one day where Keith was on the podcast because of other commitments, etc. But that's how I originally knew Vicky. And then when Michelle was like, "Oh, it's Vicky," and I'm like, "Vicky, yes." She went, "You know Vicky?" I'm like, "Do I?" Keith, and I'm like, "Oh, that Vicky."
Tiny point. She hates being called Vicky.
Who's she?
She's Vic or Victoria.
All right, okay, Victoria. Sorry, Victoria. Victoria.
But she won't kill you for it.
Good, Vicky.
So in terms of like setting up and launching, so obviously I know you're tearing your hair out that day. We don't need to focus on those necessarily hard issues where you've had to deal with a few...
it's a challenge overcome.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, a few challenges.
Every day in business.
But what I'd say is how, in terms of when was first day the gym was open, and what's that journey been like from then to now?
From then to now. The first day it was open was it was either the 15th or the 16th of May. I think technically it's the 16th, but we said we would be open on the 15th. And we had planned to open on the 1st of May. but we couldn't because we didn't have equipment in the room.
Yes. This was the problem.
I heard the story.
And from that day to now, it's gone well. You know, there's always that, you know, absolute terror when you've put your heart and soul into something and built it up, and you kind of think, yeah. And the number in the membership system still says 0, and my business plan still looks like all this massive cost and
outlay,
and the revenue is looking kind of
I totally agree.
very
with
thin.
You pour your heart and soul into it. You get all excited. You're really excited, and then you're like, oh.
And your cash flow line is red. That's my biggest, you know,
absolutely
panic moment. But so there's a kind of few kind of sleepless nights, and but to be honest, I wasn't really thinking about those so much because I'd also just bought a house and was having to plan the renovation for that.
You do like a challenge.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to blame my husband for that.
He's not here. You can blame him.
Yeah, he's back next week, so you know, for a few days.
He doesn't know about the business yet.
No, he does.
You've done what?
You go to the gym. What gym?
Aha! Surprise!
No. He's been fantastic as support.
Oh, lovely.
You know, he's kind of strategy director for a big kind of firm in the Middle East, and so when I can't go, and we both worked in corporate strategy in our past, so we have that in common. But he's done it more consistently, and you know, I stopped in corporate strategy over 30 years ago, and I'll kind of ring him and I'll go, I'm just breaking my head on this, and he'll go, well, it's just this, isn't it? It's just that, just do that. And it's that kind of having someone that you can kind of ground it with, that just goes, actually, I'm not involved in this, it's your business, but
this is
how I would approach it. And
I think it's
really
wonderful.
Helpful.
Honestly, I think it's wonderful, but it's also the most frustrating thing. I code, and I can just like bang my head against the wall going, I just can't see Michelle can't code for toffee. You know, and she Richard,
but
what's
she
up?
can spot your spelling
But she can spot a spelling mistake.
Yeah,
she comes up and she goes, is that supposed to be spelled like that? Yeah, go away, go away. Thank you.
The correct answer there is thank you, really. But yeah, I get you in the frustration at the moment. But to come back to Adam's question, how's it been since then? On the whole, better than expected. I did our monthly management report end of last week, and we had at that point at the end of May acquired 13 customers in the space of 16 days open.
Well, that's pretty damn impressive.
That's really good.
Again, paying customers, that is, against a business planned kind of forecast of 5 per month. So, we're ahead of the planned curve.
Yeah.
Whether we'll stay ahead of the planned curve or not, I don't know. But at the moment, it's good.
But I think this is why it's really important. Business plan. I did it in my early. So, the example I always use is when I set up my business. I was building it on my own behind the scenes before I was being made redundant, before I finished my job. So I was doing bits and bobs, getting the website, working on evenings, trying to get things sorted and get things ready. And I remember the first day I didn't have to go to work. It felt amazing. I'll be honest, it felt absolutely amazing. And I walked into my kitchen, although I'd just lost my job, it felt amazing.
Yes.
So I walked into my kitchen, got my laptop out, and I was like, right, I've been working on this, that, and the other. I had Adobe Creative Cloud. I was learning, upskilling on, it's been years since I'd used various softwares and this. But then it dawned on me, I was like, right, I've spent all this time creating this, and no one knows I exist, which is kind of So you've built it, you've made it all look nice, or as nice as you can with the skills that you have right now, in my case. And then you go, right, I'm ready. And it's like, okay, how do I get someone to actually knock on the door and, take... So that's when I learned very quickly that it's all about the outreach, and that can just be having a conversation. Just like you're here today.
Yeah.
I was like, why don't you come and join us on the podcast? That's outreach for the gym. We want to see the gym succeed. We want to see it do well, but we also want to hear the journey and the story. We had Darren from Carpet Ninja a few weeks ago. Hi, Darren, if you listen. Probably not. It's probably cleaning carpets.
Or ninjuring.
Or ninjuring. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hopefully cleaning my father's carpets.
Have you got him?
Yeah, I've got him.
I'm going to turn that towards you.
Sorry, my friend.
So we went into his story. We've talked to Mark Bell about Team Luke Foundation and setting up the charity, and everything else. And it's just so interesting to hear
different
You can,
gyms.
but it all starts with a really good idea or a really good solution or a really good sort of, in your case, I think the branding's great, built on experience as well. And it's like, well, we've done a bit here, we've trialed it, right, this is what we're going to do next. And it's taking on a gym, basically, which is fantastic. But then it's how do you actually get people to convert? So you've invested in the equipment, it looks awesome. Yeah, absolutely, can say awesome. That. Yeah, I've got a background in sport and fitness, and it looks amazing. Looks
Thank
great.
You.
Really does.
Thank you.
The space, the space looks lovely. The Facebook Marketplace furniture looks like it absolutely belongs. So no one think that it's that it's cobbled together. It isn't. It looks absolutely. You got that consultation area because I'm sure that's what.
Yeah, that's the idea behind it.
Yeah, 100%. And I just think it's a fantastic space, and it shows that the amount of care has been so high. And that's all well and good, but it's how do you get people to then come and buy your thing, do your business?
Absolutely, and that's always the challenge with any business, isn't it? You haven't got a business until you've got customers.
Exactly.
You can set it up, but until you've got a revenue stream, you've got a company. You haven't got a business.
No.
And that's been the challenge, and there's been more of a challenge than we'd expected. I mean, Vix kind of found it. She's had so much demand for her own business at the moment, and she's got so many loyal clients that she's found it harder to find time to be present than both of us had anticipated. So we've had to kind of think creatively around that. We do plan to add some staff, but again, you've got to have a revenue stream before you can start paying people, because that's somebody's livelihood you're talking about. You can't kind of take someone, you can decide to have a software package and try it out, for example.
Absolutely.
Or a CRM system for a month or a couple of months and see how it works. And if you haven't got the funds to carry on doing it, you can just terminate it. You can't do that with a human being.
No, you really can't.
And I won't approach it in that way at all. It's not.
Good on you for doing that.
It's not fair. No. It's not sustainable. It's not responsible, and it's not kind. So until we build up enough head of steam of revenue, we're not bringing on a fitness instructor or another personal trainer, because it wouldn't be fair. But we've solved that in different ways. I was kind of going, well, I can't do inductions for the gym. My background isn't in this. I know what I need to say, but I don't.
That's a running thing. That's a Roy thing. There we go.
I've been involved with sport and fitness all my life. You might not think it, but I have, and so I kind of, and in many different kind of ways as well. But I don't have any qualifications in that arena. And Vic just kind of stood to my side. Well, let's do some training then. So that's the way we've solved that. So, and it is, I think you were saying this about all those skills. When you started your business, you go back to skills that you learned 20, 30 years ago.
Yes.
You haven't used that, but as soon as you dust them off, you're kind of like, oh, it comes back. I can do this again. I remember how this worked. You might need a bit of updating.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing. So you learn new skills along the way as well, because you have to.
Yeah. No, exactly right. We got our induction by Victoria. But she was great.
Yeah.
She really made us feel really at ease, gave us a good thing. And anybody would think, well, that's just a rowing machine. I know how to use it. I know how to use this. But went through some of the other things. I was actually very impressed, and I do not know what it's called, but where all the weights are. You've got such a clever setup with the bar, the straps.
It's a weight rack with cables.
The weight rack.
It's called a Smith machine, technically.
Yeah. Right.
And the history to that, and Vic didn't know this, but I'm kind of one of those people, I have to know the whys of stuff. So I had looked it up, and the original one was invented by somebody called something completely different in the States, back in, I think, the 50s. So
wow.
They have a long history. But he didn't patent it, and someone else came along and went, oh, I like this.
John Smith.
Yeah.
Well, but his name, I don't know if it's John.
From Bolton.
From Bolton, yeah. Exactly.
No, I think it was a bit further west than that. It was somewhere in, I think, Detroit or something. But his last name was Smith. He patented it, and now they're called Smith machines. And they work on the principle that you load the weights on cables.
Yes.
So there's kind of safety mechanisms.
Yeah.
But it's even nice that when you've got the lifting even of the bar off the metal struts, you've got the straps underneath.
Yeah.
That if you feel, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, if you've maxed out, you can just let go.
You can just let go, and those straps will take it.
And they'll take it.
No, it's really clever, and they've thought about it. I think you've thought about the whole structure. Definitely the feel that myself and Michelle get is that when we're either doing running, it's on the right-hand side of the room, on the left-hand side of the room. It's all about that weight training, the sit-ups. You've got the bench press machine there. Michelle was commenting the other day, she loves the barbells because they're all hexagonal, so they don't roll.
Yeah, they don't roll. You can use them for doing floor exercises as well.
Correct.
We chose those range specifically for that.
No, absolutely. I also commented that it's nice that every time you sit on the bench press, that you've got the little portable owl thing looking at you, and it follows you wherever you go.
The little safety.
The camera. Health and safety.
Yeah.
We've got safety cameras.
Absolutely.
And that was a kind of a learning curve. I think more of a learning curve for Vic, really, because in her own studio that she works out in her kind of separate business, she has, I think, just one of those, and but because she's a sole trader, she doesn't need an information commissioner's license for it. And I was like, no, we need a license. She was like, how much is that going to be? And I said, doesn't matter.
No, you need it.
Doesn't matter. It's safety, it's security. We need it. And it's the whole, the GDPR, the safety, the liability, that whole picture. And she was like, oh, I didn't know that. Do I need it for mine? I was like, no, you don't need it for yours because you're not a limited company.
Yeah, whereas we're limited
There we
company. I make a point of waving at it every morning. And I go, hi, I'm here.
And you see, I don't see that because I log into the cameras only to see whether someone's been in or not.
Of course.
And I don't then watch the videos.
No, gosh, no.
Because no one wants to be
Yeah,
looked
it's only
at
if you needed
bending
it.
over in the leggings.
No.
And I don't know what your leggings are like, Andy.
But that's what oddly Michelle was saying.
Bright silver.
Yes, they are. But Michelle was saying.
Why am I not surprised?
Michelle was saying, no, it's for the right reasons, because if somebody does have an accident, not that you want to, it was your fault, our fault, whatever. It's all about that risk. It's all about the security. How did it happen? How can we prevent it happening? What was the fault? Do we need to train people more? Because you've seen all of and I won't class them as funny videos, but you've seen all those people where they've hit I can get up to 18, 19, 20, and then they lose their leg and they go down with a thump on these machines and fly off the end.
And that treadmill does have, it has 15 levels of incline.
Oh, I know.
Which take you to 30 degrees of incline.
I've got to 12 and I was like...
And it can go up to 20 kmph.
Yeah.
So, that's a serious weapon. If you
It really is.
In the wrong brain.
Yeah.
And we just want to make sure people are safe.
100%.
And
Safety is an important thing. It really is.
And it's about, I think I said this the other night with Jason's presentation as well. The pack testing is not about imposing a regulation on you that you've got to do. You've got to think about it the other way. You've got to think about, how do I eliminate risk in my business?
Yeah.
And these are all ways to do it. And if you're not kind of constantly stepping back and going, how am I eliminating that risk?
Yes.
You're opening yourself up to potential calamities further down the line.
It's so important to get your health and safety side of things right. I love it because Jason does our pack test, and I said the other night, and when he was talking about it, one thing I get is quite often, so if I've got to recharge batteries or do whatever when we're on the fly with the job, they go, are you pack tested? And I can almost walk in, swinging the plug around.
Yes, and look.
Going, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
You've got that swagger in your shoulder.
Yeah. You can have all my records if you want about everything with a plug and everything else. So, yeah, it's one of those things where when people are looking at it, it can feel probably a bit like a chore, I think is the correct way to say it.
I'd agree with
But then
that.
once you got it in place and you do it, like I know that Jason has to come in the autumn and do pack testing. It's fine. Just I pull everything out with a plug on it on my electronic devices and go, like, there you go, and we just work our way around. And he's brilliant at doing it.
And it's much better to do things like that in a planned way like that when when you can say to people, well, that you can make sure that you haven't got anything in your diary that day that's going to require you to plug everything in. Whereas if you leave it and you don't do it and you have a problem, then there's far more days or hours when you're not able to actually do your business. You've got to do the firefighting.
Yeah.
And possibly in the case of electrics going wrong,
Electricity,
real firefighting.
Real firefighting. I think I was surprised when he was saying that by law you're not legally required. But it's like when I spit. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, but the point I made was might not be by law, but I am by my tenancy agreement.
And that's a very fair point. And but even when we were working from home before we moved in, Michelle was like, Jason, pat test. Because why wouldn't you do it? But obviously, speaking to Jason, and he's not bitter in terms of anything in terms of his customers. But he has asked some potential customers, and they've just gone, I don't need to. There's no law telling me I have to. No, but for health and safety and for money I don't need to spend.
And it's a bit like those, that kind of in the last few decades, I think. I was going to say years, but I'm much older than that. But there's all these kite marks around business, around, the way you train your staff.
Yes.
And actually, it would make sense for there to be a kite mark around electrical safety as well, that you could put on your, on your letterhead, on the, your footer or something, or somewhere on your website, with the other kite marks that you put, something that says pat tested every year.
I always remember my father. Now, bearing in mind my father's 81, we are going back a long, long time, and I'm not condoning this in any way, but it was really funny that his introduction to health and safety, I think, was something he was working on, like saw machines, there was hot machinery and stuff like that. And, he just said they all got on, a couple of lads that were starting, and the health and safety guy, the line manager, because there was no such thing as health and safety back then, just said to one of the guys, Adam, touch that for me. The guy touched it. God almighty, that was hot. So there you go, everybody. Never touch that.
It's frightening, isn't it, when you think back? I mean,
I can't. Yeah, but I'm not surprised. I thought it was going to be like throw something at somebody. And say,
No. It was like touch that. I said, there you go. You never touch that because he taught. So poor guy had not a massive burn because he knew he wouldn't do that. But even so, that back then was their health and safety.
It's funny, isn't it, when you think back? I mean, in my corporate strategy days, the consultancy I worked for, we were based in Sweden. And that's a long story as well. But we were working on an M&A, a potential M&A kind of case for a big client. And they wanted to buy a company that made bathroom fittings, taps and things like that, so the castings. And it would synergise with another department, part of their business. And, so we threw the net wide and looked around Europe and the world and everything. And we found this, and it was just after, it was probably 89 or 90,
right,
so a long time ago, and it was just after the wall had come down. Eastern Europe was open to investment and stuff. We found this company in Hungary that were doing just that, and they didn't speak any English or any Swedish, and the only commonality they had was that their MD spoke German, and I was the only consultant who spoke German. So when we had to go and evaluate it, I was still quite junior, but when we had to go, he was like, no, well, she has to come because she's going to be our interpreter. So I had the privilege, is probably the word, but it's certainly the experience of going around this casting factory in Hungary. And so you're literally walking through a shed with furnaces everywhere.
Yes.
And people pouring molten metal into moulds. No gloves, no helmet, no masks, nothing, no safety, no personal safety equipment whatsoever. And I was in my early 20s, and I was just horrified.
I'm not surprised.
I would not see that anywhere in the West.
No.
And, and you kind of think we've come on a long way in health and safety.
Yes.
But there are still a lot of people out there who are very resistant to anything that they see as something which could put the brakes on their business even for half an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an important foundation to get right, and it's another one of those things. People can make things look amazing, but then not follow up with the health and safety stuff. So it's good to hear. I think for me, what would be interesting to understand a little bit more of then is, obviously, you got involved. What are you wanting the gym? I mean, it might speak for itself, but what are you wanting the role for the gym to play in the building?
I want it to be kind of the go-to place for wellness in the building, and Vic wants that as well. And we have, at the moment we've set up with just the gym, the physical space with the machines and the equipment in. There is a plan to run fitness classes. whether in that space or whether in the meeting rooms next door. And we need to kind of, now we're through startup phase, we need to kind of step back and kind of plan the next phase. And, you know, it's in the plan already, but we need to refine it. We need to put some dates and some structure around it. Boot camps outside in the car park, you know, or that's a possibility as well. But also some of the other wellness things like, you know, desk therapy or what I think it's called. I'm not the expert on this, but there are, you know, things someone can come into, you know, you can book for someone qualified like Victoria to come into your office and talk to you about how to just make your life in the office more, you know, integrate bits of wellness into that. And it might be about how to make sure you take a break every so often to stretch your knee out so that it doesn't seize up. So, and that would be a very personal thing because it would be about working out what that increment of time is. So things like that. But also we plan to run some events to kind of basically showcase our presence, but also talk about what else we can do. And that's why I've got this colourful.
Yeah, I was looking. There is a colourful sheet of paper on the table.
And
what is it, first of all?
It's the wellbeing calendar.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, very good.
So you'll have heard of, you know, May was, I think, Mental Health Month and things like that. And there is, you know, although, you know, as a kind of person not kind of in the wellness world, you might sit back and go, oh, it's another one of those, and what is it this month? And, you know, there's always something, and you don't know where these things are coming from. There is actually a structure and a strategy for those. So we've been looking at that and thinking, you know, in the months ahead, what can we pin to? How can we use those to both create awareness of people's well-being, but also of what we can do to promote that and to foster that?
I think that's really good. So a couple of things I've got is certainly Michelle is very well to do with all of these things. We've all got the ability. We've been offered standing desks. I've got one. And purely because of my problem with my knee, my watch basically says you've been sat for too long. And then I hit a button, my desk all rises, and I stand for half an hour, and then it goes, right, time to rest, and I press it back down again. We do all of the work fitness things for the rest of the team. You know, some of them don't want the standing desks, but, you know, joking apart, that's why we've got the dartboard.
Yeah, so the dartboard, people can easily go, dartboard is not exercise. But it's like, no. It's a reason to get up from your desk.
It is.
It's offering a social space within your office where you can talk to each other, mainly hurl abuse at each other. But
that's fine. That's therapeutic.
In a positive way. No, but have a bit of banter with the game of darts and all of this, and it's a welcome break. I think it's so important. I mean, you've said it yourself. The world is so much more aware, not just on the health and safety, just on the well-being side.
The well-being side, definitely.
No, absolutely. And I think the other thing that I'd like to say is, even though Victoria's exceptionally busy, I think she said to us one of her visions is that she could personally sort of like say, right, Andrew, what's your goal for this month, whatever like this? I would certainly, she's not saying it now you're far, far, far too busy, but I would love to sit with Victoria and just go, look, I have got this problem. What do you believe is, am I harming it by running? Am I harming it? What should I be doing? But I felt very, very pleased that she was like, it's going to come. We will end up sitting with you and going, right, what's your weight? Michelle will quite honestly tell you it's weight loss for her. And she was like, right, what's the best thing to do? She has plantar fasciitis for her feet. And her knees are exceptionally bad. All of the cartilage is rubbed away. So she can't run. Cycling's very good. She's in a catch-22 where the doctor said, you need to lose more weight before we can operate. So, but again, Victoria's like, absolutely, give us time and we will sit down and we will give you your own personal work plan, which I think is fantastic for what you get in the price.
And that's very much the aim that we'll be able to do that with people, because everybody's journey is different. And we're very clear, I mean, both in Victoria's personal own business, but also in this, that fitness is not about, you know, you see these images of it, you know, it's not the Instagram view of a gym.
No.
It's not, you know, lycra-clad gym bunnies and guys with big muscles working out and sweating all over the place and glowing and looking brilliant. It's not about that. Everybody everybody on this planet has a body.
Yes.
And everybody's body has the same components. We all have different challenges in keeping those working optimally. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what size or shape you are. You can always do something to improve. And if you do that regularly enough and often enough and gently enough, you will see benefits. And that's really the whole
I think gently enough's a real important one. When I was young, I'll go to the gym, and you absolutely hammer the weights. I actually did myself more damage than good, because you think you look good by going, look what I can do.
And it is, that is a kind of, it's a key misconception of working out. And anyone on this planet can, do a kind of the Atkins diet for a week. We can all stick that.
Yeah.
With very little kind of motivational investment, we can all manage, going to the gym every day for a week. How many of us can sustain it for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
3, a month, 6 months, a year? And it's only over those longer periods that you see any improvement. And the answer is you can't sustain that level of motivation or input for that long, because you simply don't have time as a human being.
No.
The world, your life demands that you do other things.
Well, it's the biggest challenge I have. So I've been training for this triathlon.
Yeah.
I am a month away this Sunday. Yeah, a month away on Sunday. My weight has come down. I'm 2 stone lighter than I was in September.
Very well done,
fantastic.
sir. Very well done.
But the first bit actually took. I wasn't booked for the triathlon. I was just trying to reduce my weight, and then I booked the triathlon. I've managed to lose probably 1.5 stones in reality since then. But it's required, and with my background, I am. My background was in the gym. I've got exercise on referral. I was a spinning instructor. I'm a level 2 tri coach. I'm a rugby coach. Loads of other coaching qualifications that I've done this in my former life in sports development, which I absolutely love and enjoy. The battle I had in that job, and I said this to you the other day, was the more work I did and the further I got in my career, air quotes, career, the less I was actually on the front line moving. And because everyone's like, oh, you get to do sport. I was like, no, I actually just get to sit on a computer and plan the sport.
Talk about other people doing that.
Talk about other people, yeah. So there's a bit of that, and that's what got me into marketing. But doing this training plan that I've been doing, like today, I've got my swim bag. Now, other weeks, I've swam before the podcast, but then I sit here having to eat my breakfast during the podcast, which I don't like doing, but I'm like, I need...
It's time. Where else can you do it?
So I haven't done it today, but I've got my gym kit, my swim kit, in the car. I've got another podcast to do at 10. I can't remember what time it is. Maybe 11. Anyway, what I'm going to do, my window is to shoot to the Dolphin Centre to go for a swim, because obviously I'm doing the triathlon. And then I've got a meeting at 1, and then I'm supposed to be doing a drone flight, although it's raining at the moment, so I don't know whether that'll happen. No. But it's back to back to back to back, and then I've got to pick up the kids, and then I'm into...
And then you're into family time.
It is an absolute nightmare to try and fit it in, but part of the thing that where I've got to, and this is where I wasn't, this is sharing my story, is I wouldn't be bothered about missing it originally. It's just hard. Whereas now, my entire day today, yes, it's all about work, but what I've managed to get back to myself is a bit of a mental state of going, it's Friday, when do I get my swim in?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my driver for today. I know I've got to do all the other work would be there regardless, but I've made the, so Wednesday I did the same. I couldn't go first thing on the morning. I'd had meetings all day, but I managed to get to the 2:30 session in the afternoon, and I was at the business club that night.
You were?
Like, you feel like you're skipping off, and it's like, no, I'm just trying to fit it in.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's when it becomes, when it stops being a kind of rod to beat yourself with, that, I haven't done it, and becomes something that you rigorously plan into your day because you actually feel like you've missed out without it.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're getting the balance right. And we'll all, because we're, anyone that's got a job and works hard and enjoys the job and has purpose in what they do will feel like, there's always that kind of hangover of feeling like you're skipping off if you're not doing the 9 to 5. But actually,
I have that a lot, and I work so much more than the 9 to 5.
I know you do.
Yeah, exactly. But you still feel if you skip off between those hours,
I'm aware my team are sat in the office.
You're slacking in some
I'm like,
way.
look at him having a swim. So I've been all over the country the last 2 weeks, at work and working so many hours, like it's untrue. So I mean, the other day, luckily, I was so busy that when I was actually swimming, I didn't feel bad about it. But normally in my head, I'm like,
you are thinking.
Yeah, I'm like, wow. The team are sat there working hard.
For us, it's easy. I'm a morning person.
You guys come in early, don't you? Yeah.
Bang, I'm up. I'm up and out. Michelle is not a morning person, but one of the things that I was going to pick up on is that where I feel as though we are lucky, there are days when I will get up and I'm like, oh, God, I really don't feel like doing the gym. Because I have worked hard, I've worked late into the evening, but there, Michelle's like, you really should. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Michelle's exactly the same. She will just like, oh, I don't feel like doing it. I'm like, I know, honey, but come on. We promised ourselves. She went, yeah, come on, let's do it. And that is a really good thing for both of us to have.
That's a fantastic partnership because you've got that kind of that accountability between yourselves, and that helps a lot. It's really hard to kind of find that elsewhere if you're on your own or something. But
it's lots of little choices. I mean, obviously, I've been trying to get the weight down for a few years now.
Yeah.
And I might eat well consistently for 6 weeks. It's the sustaining it. It's making the regular choices.
Yeah.
Last night we had fish and chips. It was amazing.
Yep.
Well done you.
Yeah. I was like, but it was planned. So,
Yeah.
when I said it was planned, we were looking at it. The kids had a session on over in Richmond. Mm-hmm. Now, originally the plan was I will go home. I will then cycle to Richmond and meet you for fish and chips. That was the plan. But with the editing that I was doing, it just didn't happen. No. And I was like, it doesn't matter. I've planned for it. I've already done. I know where I'm up to with my exercise. I've been doing all that. Now, if I hadn't like forced the swim on Wednesday and gone, I need to make this fit, that's when I end up in a bad place again, right?
Yes.
Because I've missed it. I've then gone and had some lavishness with, like, it was awesome. And we sat on a bench last night, and I actually just said to my kids, I was like, do you know what? I don't need all the money in the world. If I've just got fish and chips and I sat on a bench with you lot, I'm made up. And it was a lovely part of the week. Do you know what I mean?
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it is one of those things that, and it's a really hackneyed kind of buzzword at the moment, the word self-care. But sometimes the self-care decision is going, okay, you can have, you don't need to eat sensibly today. You can make a choice today that normally would be, out of the question for you, and you can make it knowingly and with intention.
Yep.
Have that thing, or skip that workout, and it doesn't mean that you've failed. It doesn't mean that you've let it all go, and your journey is trashed. We don't do that, do we?
No.
But the mentality around it is if you're on a diet and you have a day off, your diet's gone. Yeah. It's not true. You can pick it up the day after.
Of course you can.
And sometimes we just do need to say to ourselves, today, it's okay. It's okay to have.
Oh, we escaped the washing up. We escaped the washing up because we sat on a bench eating fish and chips out of a box. It was brilliant. Escaped the washing up. We're all there. And it was just nice, and it was to change the scenery, and it's so important.
And it's not about. It's never about being perfect because we're humans. We're not perfect.
No, and that's the key that I want
to
pick up. You may not know, but I am also diabetic. I had to go through a massive weight change, which I still have. I must admit, I'm slowly putting some back on, but that's because work at the moment is ridiculous.
But now you've got the gym.
Now we've got the gym. But the other thing is that, I won't mention is I have a monthly regular meeting because of my diabetic. It's the habitual training, and God bless the lady that I talk to. She's absolutely lovely, but she will no alcohol whatsoever, Andy. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. I enjoy my drink. I work so hard. I said, when I come home, my way of relaxing is I will have a drink. No, you're not allowed to drink. And I'm like, no, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to do that. Now, I know that I shouldn't drink.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know, and Michelle said, if you compare to what I used to drink when I was working very hard, compare it to now, it's nowhere near. So I've reduced my drinking, and I don't mind saying that, but it's still on a Friday night when I go home, I do enjoy a glass of wine, and I will have my horse tonight, I will have a little glass of whiskey, and I'm going, do you know what? I'm happy.
The key thing there to me in that whole narrative is that you're in control of it now.
Yeah, 100%.
And you kind of, I hate the word, but you're mindful about it.
I am mindful about it.
So you made a conscious decision but you've limited it, you've put constraints around it,
Yeah.
and that's probably the most healthy decision you can make.
So I think the offshoot here is all of the stuff that we're taking on, like we're talking about, monitoring your weight and trying to be healthy. It's the same with business in my
Oh
book.
gosh, yeah.
So like in
Brings
terms
it
of
nicely circular
It
there.
does, what a segue. Check that out. You think I'd do this. So
You haven't planned this, have you?
We'll pat you on the back later.
yeah, thank you. No, but the business thing, and I've talked about it, the hardest thing for being a business owner, it's like being a bit of a tribe at times in terms of I see, so the other morning, was it yesterday morning? I logged on at 6:30. So bear in mind I'd been at the business club until late.
Yeah.
Switched off, bed, and I woke up, I was like, right, I'm awake. And actually, there's so much to do today. I'm just going to crack on.
Yeah.
But I'm being mindful. That's the whole point of it. Whereas in the past, it'd be, I need to get this, or the few things that I do, and I've said this, is my phone goes on charge in the other end of the house, away from my bed. It is not next to my bed. It goes on do not disturb every evening, because quite often I can have business owners like ringing me. They can send a message, I'd see it if that makes sense. If I had to, if there's, but
And it's not as if they're looking to contact you; it's because they're working outside of their
all the
hours.
time. It's usually just I've had a thought about this.
Correct.
What about that? And but you've got to kind of go right. I think it's important as a business owner, just as with exercise, as with probably food. I think moderation is the key word. Making the right choices, being mindful about it, and for me, it's about doing it with intent. So the other thing I did, and I found this out during lockdown actually, was I couldn't be business owner and dad at the same time. I think I could, but I'd end up it was absolute chaos trying to run your own business. We were trying to digitize a lot of people, bring them into digital so they could still reach customers. But then my wife works in the NHS, she was at work, and I was stuck at home with 2 kids.
Yeah.
And it was right. So what I had to then start doing is going, right, so every day at 9 o'clock, I was like, right, timetable.
Yeah.
That's how I operate.
Yeah.
So we did some school work at 9 till 10. Then 10 o'clock, it was like PE. Every day would do an hour of activity in the garden. And then at 11 o'clock, I'd go, you can now watch some TV. While they do that, I would then headphones on and say to the kids, right, Daddy's just doing some work. And then I would just do some focused work over that period. I'd feed them lunch after that.
Good thing to feed your kids.
Yeah.
It's kind
So
of
I'd
usually considered.
Yeah, well, you don't really have
Ideal
much choice because they're
Yeah.
asking you anyway. So you'd do that, and then I'd do a bit more work after lunch. Lunch is settled. I'd be like, right, a bit more school work, then back in the garden. And I did that throughout COVID
Yeah.
because I was like, I need some kind of structure. But what I learned about that is I can't run my business and be a dad at the same time because all I'm causing myself is undue stress.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm either a dad or working. Like,
Excuse me.
not both. I mean, the other week we did have them sat in there gaming and they nearly smashed a hole through the wall arguing.
Yes, that was funny. You had to disappear halfway through the
Yeah, I had
podcast.
to turn off being a worker and
And go be a dad. But it's
The
going back
joys
to
of
what
half term, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Going
yeah,
back to what
yeah.
you were saying, though, Joe, we've not only got a busy, hard life as it is, to try and then think about the well-being, think about your health. It's really difficult, isn't it?
It is, and that's one of the beauties of having the facility in the building that you're working in.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of research out there about, we all know the kind of the paradigm of somebody joining the gym in January and never going.
Correct.
And I dare say we've all done it as well.
Yep, I have.
We're all
Definitely done
guilty
it.
of that. And the reason is that when you're looking for a gym, quite often if you're you look around and you pick the one that you think fits who you are best, fits with your identity or your self-image, or you pick the one that is most aligned with what you can afford, whatever. You give very little consideration in that process. You might look at, 10 gyms in your local town and go, well, they've got those machines, or, they do this, or they've got, or that's the price I can afford. You don't give any consideration to where it's located and how convenient it is for you.
That is hugely.
And there's a lot of research around that shows that you are, I can't remember the percentage, but you're so much more likely to use a fitness facility if it's located either where you work, close to where you work, or close to where you live, or on the line that you normally take between those two?
Prior to the other gym being in here, both Michelle and I looked at this, and we couldn't work out how to do it because we were like, right, we've got to get up, travel to the gym, and that's like a 20, 40, 30-minute journey. Then get done, then get dressed, then get showered, then drive all the way back into work, another 30, 40 minutes. We just couldn't it too fine.
You can't do it in the space that you can allow for it. And so if it's located in the building where you are, it doesn't... And that's the other thing. If you're having to travel, if you're having to put in, 20, 30 minutes for travel, doing a short workout doesn't cost in time-wise. So you might think, well, if I'm there, I'm going to do an hour because otherwise, the kind of the return isn't there. Whereas if it's in the building, you can come down, you can do 10 minutes on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And you've literally only wasted those. It's only cost you those 10 minutes plus the 2 or 3 that it takes to get down there and back upstairs. You can do an hour, but you're still not investing or wasting, if you like, an hour each way of travel. So it makes it easy to use. It makes it convenient for you, and therefore you're more likely to use it. And therefore, you're more likely to get a benefit from it.
And that's exactly the reason why we do it. We get here, we go into the gym, we shower afterwards, we're straight back into the office. And also, a big shout out to Innovation Place. I mean, the fact that their facilities is perfect.
Yeah.
We go into the gym, we work out, and again, it could be, depending on the morning that we've had, it's either for 45 minutes, it's either for 30 minutes. But as we both say, we're doing something, we're 30 minutes better off than what we would ever have done.
10 minutes, 30 minutes is all better than nothing. It's 100%. All better than thinking, I can't do 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back in an hour.
You can't.
Because normally we can't do that. So something that's convenient to where you work, where you live, or on the direct line in between, those are the ideal places to find a gym.
Yeah. We're doing it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have Friday off, Saturday off, Sunday off. We're thinking of revamping the home gym again just to do a little bit of extra. But we've started doing paddle tennis. Me and Dan have started doing that. We're doing it next Tuesday. So that's Tuesday morning in the gym.
Is that down at the...
Blackwell Meadows.
Yeah.
So Tuesday morning in the gym, Tuesday evening we're doing paddle tennis. So again, I'm loving it and Dan's loving it because it's like, this is actually fun.
Yeah.
And also, Dan's your son, isn't he?
Sorry?
Dan's
my son,
So that's actually, it's not just exercise. It's family time as well.
Correct, 100%.
So it's relationship stuff. So it's really positive.
Hence why we were number 2 signing up, because we were like, absolutely, it's the right thing to do, and it's just so easy for us.
Is it fun? Because I've considered doing it, and I'm a bit
paddle tennis. Yeah,
paddle tennis.
I'm just a bit kind of.
No, I really enjoyed it.
I'm not a kind of ball sports person. I'm a sailor.
Dan's not, but he actually really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. Knocking 10 tons of balls over the fence as well, even running for them. But he was so good. And I've always been sort of like a you wouldn't think, but sporty person, playing squash, playing badminton. I've always loved that. So paddle tennis, I'll give this a go. And the fact that it combines the tennis and the squash. So I was trying to say to Dan, even though I wasn't doing it very well, but some of the times when you're hitting the ball and it's like bouncing off, I said, don't chase the ball. If you know that it's going to come bounce, anticipate it bouncing.
Yeah.
So obviously he's hitting it and I'm going, well, that's going to hit the wall. So me running towards the wall to put the ball, so I mean, watch, bounce, wait, dink, and then flicking it. And I got quite competitive towards the end because of my squash, knocking it in the corner where it just went, and I'm like, that's the old Andy.
Well, that's nice as well if you get that feeling of, that you've got something back that you thought you'd lost. That's
it really is good. So look, hopefully so. We're going to do next Tuesday as well. I mean, the only thing we're thinking, Blackwell Meadows, is obviously it's very dependent on the weather.
Yep. I've played in all weathers.
Yeah, and that's what me and Dan said. If it's raining, as in it's not a downpour,
you mean as today, where
it is a downpour.
Yes.
After weeks and weeks of dry weather, and where we've even dared to kind of wear flip flops and go bare-legged, and finally,
the day Adam has to do a drone flight.
Yes.
English summer has arrived.
Oh well, never mind.
One last question before we wrap up, but. What tech are you using to sort of work with people in the gym?
Excellent question. We have spent quite a bit of money actually, but we've bought into a very specialised CRM called Clubright, which is a full service kind of gym management package. It manages the members, but it also manages all our payments and everything else. It was set up I think about 10 years ago. It was built by gym owners for gym owners.
Very
and
nice.
It integrates with Xero, it integrates with Stripe, it does loads of stuff. So again, we had discussions over this because I think Vic uses just a kind of appointment booking system
Yes.
for her own business, and I was like, that is not going to cut it.
Yeah. No.
We need something that is going to take a lot of
Does the work for you.
does the work
Michelle
for
did
us.
it all online.
because the spreadsheet is not going to cut it either, you know. And you know, with that and with Xero, that's all our reports. That's all our business reports.
Oh, easily done.
You can customise stuff through ClubRight. But also equally, the other thing that it does, and I think this is really nice, as a member, you can download it as an app on your phone.
Yeah.
You can manage your own membership through that, both from the finances of it, so you can change your membership. You can book. We haven't got any things to book yet, but when we set up classes, they'll be bookable through the app and payable through the app. We're about to get a QR code scanner for people to check in and check out.
Nice.
Which does two things. One, it helps us understand usage patterns.
Yeah,
and
heat
trends.
maps.
Heat maps.
Yeah.
And then we can adjust business decisions to that going forward. It also means that we understand, you know, for health and safety reasons, we've then got a record, you know, the cameras are kind of there as a backup.
No, absolutely, I get it.
But we can see who's been in when.
Yes. Mhm.
And so if there is an issue, if someone has injured themselves, we can go, well, so-and-so was in at the same time, can we ask them about it? You know?
Absolutely right.
So, but for members, it means you can pick up your phone in your office, upstairs, somewhere in the building, or at home if it's on a weekend. You can go, thinking about using the gym. Oh, there's 10 people in now. It's a bit busy.
Yeah.
I'll go in half an hour instead.
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
I think there's so much to be said, and I've had a lot of discussions because a lot of businesses start up and they think they've got to make everything themselves. Like create. I need a gym app. And it's like, how much would... And I've had people say to me before, I need an app.
Yeah.
How much would an app cost me? And I'm like, you're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Easily.
Yeah.
Like, just to get started. And then it's not simple. The reason why things like this exist, and people then often go, but then there's... I've had people going, card fees, you know, Stripe and this, that and the other. Like, every merchant has card fees. That's how it works, like, in order to process it. You can't really shortcut those. And what I'd say is just embrace and build it into your business model, taking on things like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Reinventing wheels is always laborious, tedious, extremely costly. And actually, you know, there's a wheel.
Yeah.
There's always a wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
I say this to everybody, you know, when they're trying to do something, and if you'd have come to myself, John, said that, I'd have said, go out there, find an app. Yes, there's a cost. However, somebody at the end of a line, support, you can talk to them. What plans have they got?
They've been fantastic.
I can imagine they have.
Incredibly supportive. There's like a little button in our owner dashboard of it.
Yes.
There's a chat button. It goes to an AI bot initially, and normally that's enough to answer the questions. But when there's another question, I've got answers within minutes.
That's great.
And that's been just a godsend. And I had an issue the other day with. We set up a Stripe. We've got one customer who wants to pay by invoice, and we've got a Stripe account, so I just put a pay now button on the invoice. But the problem with that is you end up with a double.
Yeah.
It looks like double accounting, and I was like, break my head. How do I reverse this? And I thought, actually, you know, because most of our payments come through ClubRight, and that's how they should look, and I have to mark the membership as paid in ClubRight, even though it's come through a different source.
Yes, of course.
That's why it looks double. And I thought, well, actually, you know, why am I breaking my head? They will have had this with somebody else.
Yeah, they will have. Yeah.
And once
Sadly,
I did that,
we are not unique.
Once I did that, half an hour later, it was all sorted.
Yeah.
My accounts were back. Look at, you know, reconcile everything. Feel happy. Cup of tea.
That is a key point, though. I won't bore you with all the details, but we were talking to a particular customer, a particular software tenancy, and I used that exact phrase. I'm saying, I cannot believe we are, with our customer, the only person to have this problem. It's just nonsensical, as I called it. And the guy went to him and said, let me look it up. Actually, you're right. We've had somebody with this issue before. It's just unusual. I'm like, thank you. Yeah, we resolved it within 5 minutes. But as you say, there's no way that me and my customer were unique. I'm like, nah, there's just
this is
no way.
a standard
It's that kind of, just remind yourself, you're not special, you're not unique.
I know.
Absolutely.
Which is something to be appreciative of, actually, and realise that this issue is not a special one. This is just an issue that we need to get resolved.
So before we wrap up, been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. How do people get in touch with yourself or Victoria?
You can pop into the gym.
Of course. Floor 0 in the corner.
Yep. Eyeball us. You can, there are lots of, at the moment we're only open to memberships for tenants in here and in Innovation Central. And there are flyers around with a QR code on, and that will take you straight to the membership page on our app.
Good.
And you can find out the prices there. You can sign up from there. Once you pick a package, once you hit the buy now button or join now, whatever it says, it will take you straight into Club Right where you can purchase. You can go to our website, which is vixifitness.co.uk, and click on the membership page. You can phone us, but we're very good at forgetting to...
Absolutely.
Go to the website.
Go to the website.
Please go to the website. You don't want to chat to us.
No, exactly. Well, there we go. Well, that's been real fascinating.
Yeah,
hasn't it?
thank you so much for your
it.
time.
Loving it. Really good.
So our last question is, what are you doing at the weekend?
At the weekend, I am probably cleaning my house.
Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I'm kind of... It's my last weekend for... Well, my husband's coming home next week for a couple of weeks. So I've got to do a lot of things, preparation this week, because this time next week I will be in Edinburgh, hopefully eating at a Michelin-starred restaurant.
Lovely. Love that.
I bet in a lot of Michelin restaurants in Edinburgh.
He lives abroad, so whenever I fly to Doha or he flies here, we take a few days out first and we do spend some nice proper time together. So
Edinburgh one for me, I think, was the Plumed Horse. Absolutely delicious.
I shall mention that to him.
I don't know if it's a long time ago.
We're there for a few nights.
Stunning.
I don't even know how many nights or where we're staying.
No.
Perfect. That's the best way to be.
Very good. What about yourself, Adam?
I am running a family sports day.
Oh.
Just for our local village. So we're doing that. So I've got all the medals and bags of sweets ready to give out.
Whereabouts is that?
I don't tell people where I am, but it's just out of town. But yeah, so we'd got, a few years ago, I went to Echo 3 Coffee House, actually. And I was like, they just happened to have some coffee sacks. And they were like, free for a good home. So I got them. And they're like Hessian sacks, and we do that. So we're doing that on Sunday, and then tomorrow I am open water swimming.
Open water swimming?
Yeah.
Pacific Ocean?
No, Ellerton Lake, if anyone's
Ellerton,
Yeah, fantastic facility. So
paddleboarded there.
Yeah,
nice.
A great facility. So open water swimming tomorrow, and I'm probably going to be on the bike after work. I'm just training. And actually, I said I wasn't doing anything last weekend. I actually trained the whole weekend. So, it was great. I loved it.
The other thing I have to do over the weekend is I've got a lot of reading to do. I have a friend who runs a literary magazine for Flash Fiction, and she's got an open submission call at the moment, and I'm one of her readers.
Oh.
So I'll be reading lots of stories and going, nah, or yes.
Yes. No. Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very good.
Well, what are you doing? I was like, you haven't said. What are you doing?
So tomorrow, just general looking after my father, taking him for his jabs and things because he's 81 years old. However, Sunday, feeling very privileged. One of our lovely customers, Climate Action Northeast, has managed to get us free tickets. David Attenborough's new Ocean film premieres on Sunday, and we are going to be one of the first to see it.
You get all these good things.
Fantastic.
So that's over in Dalton Lodge, I think it is. So big shout out to that. I must get them on the podcast. That'd be lovely. But because we sponsor them a lot and we help them as much as we want, they Sharon, bless her, emailed her and she went, just happened to have 2 free tickets. She said, would you like to? And I think it was Michelle who was like, oh, she's invited to something. David Attenborough. Yes.
There's no question.
There was no
Bite
question.
that hand off.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be fantastic. So premiere, I've seen his on 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. Looking forward to that.
Well,
Perfect.
thank you so
Thank you,
much for
Josie.
joining
It's a
us.
pleasure. Thank you for
really
having
appreciate
me.
Yeah, and if you want to know more, you can ask the team at Business Central Reception.
Yeah.
If you're in the Business Central, Innovation Central ecosphere, come and check it out and see what it's all
It's
about.
a wonderful place.
If you're not, watch this space as things I'm sure will be developing in due course.
They will, yes.
They will. Good.
More
Thank you very much. Okay, bye, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye.